With more and more people buying electric cars, that means more and more EV charging points being installed, which also means more and more problems that I'm encountering. Today is a terraced house, all driveways out the front. First you need to be aware of loop supplies, which we haven't got here fortunately, but I need to get a cable from the middle of the house where the consumer unit is to the outside. And there's only really one way of doing it, and it's underneath the floor. Fortunately for me, this is an older house, which means I have floorboards. If you have concrete floors, you're in trouble. This is the outside wall where the EV charger's going. This is my flooring, and through here, this is where my supply is, under the stairs. I've got this little access hatch here, but this is a supporting wall. So I need to find a way through that, but that's not my only complication. The other side of the wall, there's a chimney breast, which means a solid concrete plinth. So I need to try and find a way around that as well. But I have a floorboard here with a couple of screws in, so I'm gonna try and lift it up and see what I can do. I bought myself one of these little Bosch drills. It's 12 volt. It's very good.
If you're new to the channel, I'm Adam and I've been an electrician for over 20 years and I've built myself up a nice little business installing EV charging points for people who find me on YouTube. All of the jobs that you see me carry out, I've never been to the house before. I have these remote surveys where clients submit photos and videos to me, and from that I can put a quote together for them, but I never really know what I'm walking into until I turn up. Underneath the floor here I have a relatively clear run. You can see that pipe going through the wall, that is where my consumer unit is. So that is good news for me.
And under the stairs, if we look through that hole, I can see daylight there. That is my torch. And I've got a little hole there. So I'm going to try and fish my cables through there.
These are the super rods, and this is what I use when I can't physically get to the cable. You can poke this through any sort of hole and hopefully fish at the other end and pull your cable through. But you really need to look after them, otherwise this happens.
What happens sometimes with these rods is when you poke them under the floors, you ruin the ends, so they can be hard to join up to each other.
These rods come with several attachments which I really should be using. That would stop the threads from getting wrecked. I'm going to show you all the attachments and how to use them in another video, so keep an eye out for that.
Right, let's see if we can find that.
If you live in a newer build and you have concrete floors, this is just such a difficult job to carry out. It often involves chasing walls and lifting floorboards. I have some other videos showing this and I'll put them in the description below.
I can see it, but it's miles away. Need a couple more rods.
There is so much rubble under here, I need to be careful when I pull my cable through not to drag it underneath and damage it on any sharp edges. It's important for the cable to lay on top and get some fixings where you can.
I've got it. But I need another rod.
Now whenever I carry out a job like this, before I drill any holes in any walls, I want to make sure that I can get my cable from the middle of the house to the outside wall.
There she is.
Now that I know I can achieve this, it's time to get the drill out and drill that hole. But you can't just drill through the hole anywhere, you need to work out where the floor level is and drill below it. These houses also have a damp-proof coarse membrane and you need to make sure you don't drill through that. If you can find an air brick, it normally means you're underneath the floor level.
Whereas I stuck a rod through this air brick so I could see the level of the floor. That's given me my gauge of where I can drill my hole through the wall.
Whenever I drill a hole through the wall, it's not just about drilling a hole through the wall. You need to think about things like water drainage.
That was soft.
And in the event of a flood or anything, is water going to get down that hole and have you sealed it properly?
Go for the bigger drill bit then.
This is one of those houses where the drill just basically fell through the mortar. It was super soft.
That was easy. I've got a 5 metre off cutter cable here, which I'd really like to use if it's long enough, but it's touch and go. I can't find the end of the tape. We're going to re-measure this the old-fashioned way. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, 5 metres. And I want the cleanest end on the outside of the house. And if it's not enough, I've got another drum, but I was just trying to avoid opening it up. I want that much. You know what, I've changed my mind. The trouble is, with this cable, is you get like scuff marks on it. I don't know if you can see that. And I don't really want to give that to my customer. So I'm going to use a new drum. And this is just going to have to go for scrap, I guess. But, you know, if you're paying for a job, don't install cable that looks like that. Can you really show them that at the end and be like, there you go, there's your job? I don't think so. Brand new drum. You do get some wastage with this cable, I'll be honest, like that. There's nothing else I can do with that cable really, apart from scrap it. Phone's going off again. I've got my cable tied onto my rods here now, so hopefully I'll just be able to pull it through.
I was in luck. I managed to pull it through no problems and get a couple of fixings underneath the floor just to keep the cable off the deck as much as I could. Once I've finished in one part of the house or a section of the job, I like to put everything back, and that is that bit done, and I don't have to go back to it later on. So that's the floor back down. Here's a little bit of history for the younger lads training up to be sparks. This is what used to be installed in houses before consumer units were a thing, and all of these were made in Britain. Good old quality gear.
My other M12 Milwaukee drill died randomly, so I got a new one, upgraded model, and then I've obviously got the Bosch one, which I really like. This one feels like it's more torquey than this one, but I'm going to drill a 22mm hole through this floorboard and see how the Milwaukee gets on. I don't really like the chuck on the Milwaukee one.
I've got a couple of 12-volt tools now, and I'm quite impressed with them. Easier than the big 18-volt drills that I have. So I'm putting these through these paces over the next few months and getting more tools, and I'm going to take you on a journey with me, and we're going to go through them together.
Put it down to the first setting.
It's all about knowing how to use the tools, and as you can see here, it's got quite a lot of guts, this little thing here.
Alright, that handled it pretty well.
Would you like another cup of tea?
Oh, I'd love one if that's alright.
If I ever come and do a job for you, please know I do love a cup of tea.
This has got so much power, this little thing.
I think I prefer the Bosch over the Milwaukee. Controversial.
One thing I've learned from being in business as an electrician for over 10 years now is that communication is absolutely key. If your communication is poor, customers won't come back to you. For me, efficiency is everything, and I've got everything set up on Tradeify, so when an inquiry comes in, I get notified straight away. Not only that, I have auto replies there, which you can customize a reply email automatically saying that you'll be back in touch with them within 48 hours, 24 hours, whatever works for you and your business. And this gives you a little bit of breathing space to get back to those inquiries while you're busy on the tools. So if you haven't got any already, you want to look at getting some proper job management software. I've used Tradeify for over 6 years now, and it's ticked all my boxes, so I can honestly recommend it. Otherwise I'd have left them. On there you can set up templates for your quotes, emails, invoices, the whole lot, which streamlines all of that admin. This is probably worth giving it a go, and you can get 30% off your first 3 months with my promo code SOTA30. But before that, you can have a 2-week free trial, and you don't have to give any bank details up. So there's no reason not to try it. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to give it a go.
Thank you, Tradeify, and now back to the video.
Let's see if the Milwaukee is tough enough to drill into this wall.
Now normally I'd use an SDS drill or my 18-volt drill, but I'm really trying to condense down the tools that I bring into people's houses. The less kit, the better.
Yeah, alright.
I want to put together the ultimate electrician's toolkit. Let me know if you want to see that video.
What I'm doing here is installing just another little junction box. And with the Doncaster cable's EV Ultra cable, you get a Cat 5 inside it, integrated. And that is going to be used for my CT clamp for my load curtailment, but it also can be used for hardwired internet if you required. And I always like to take this cable back out of the consumer unit, so if later on internet is required or whatever, for whatever reason, no one needs to gain access inside this live box. And then these meter tails here, they're going straight into this handy block here. What that means is the cable that comes in from the street goes into this fuse. Out of the fuse it goes into the meter. Out of the meter it joins into these 100 amp Henley terminal blocks. Out of there we've got different feeds to a couple of different consumer units, including mine. And what that does is it keeps my installation separate for any of the existing. So if my customer has any faults, for example, on any of these circuits in this board, it'll have nothing to do with what I've installed here today. If you're an electrician, this is quite a good thing to do, because coincidences happen. I could leave here and the lights start tripping, and I've had that before. But this will be set up in such a way that that will have nothing to do with me whatsoever. So you can eliminate that sort of callback worry. And this is the bit I'm going to do now. And there we have it, all connected up with the cover on loosely, so no one touches it. So now this feed goes straight into these Henley blocks as well. Bish bash bosh, let's get that charger installed.
The charger I'm installing today is the Hypervolt. It's one of the 3 that I recommend to people. You can get it with a 5-year warranty, which I highly recommend. If you're looking for an EV charger, don't go for the cheapest one. Make sure you can get a 5-year warranty. Trust me, you're going to regret it otherwise.
So I'll go about carrying out these EV installs for people who find me on YouTube. So if you're looking for one, definitely tap me up. And I just had a call off a client then, or someone then, asking me how much an EV charger install costs. I can't tell you over the phone. But if you're interested, click on the link in the description and there's an inquiry form there, and you need to submit to me some photos and videos because I just simply can't tell. He said it's a 20-metre run and he wants a Simpson and Partners charger. How much is that going to cost? I don't know because there's so many variations. So if you're looking for a quote, I don't know over the phone. So just get in touch, drop me an email or something and I can maybe help you out. But off the phone, I don't know, all right? Also, please bear in mind, I don't have the admin staff, so I am doing this all on my own. So if you send me an inquiry and you don't get a response in a couple of hours, it's probably because I'm on the tools. You lunatics. Oh, I do like this little drill. I am going to spray it though. Well, let me know. Let me show you. So, this is the old Milwaukee drill, completely dead. Lights work, but nothing happens. So I've got this one, but should I spray it? And the Bosch, should I spray it? Let me know in the comments below. And this Milwaukee, rubbish, lasted a year.
Now that I've got my consumer unit installed underneath the stairs, the cable ran through underneath the floor and the hypervolt bracket on the wall. It's time to finish off that cable run by clipping the cable up the wall. And here I'm using the spit gun, but it doesn't always work.
Sometimes the mortar's too soft for this. You've got to drill and wall plug it. But there you go. Very handy if you've got massive cable runs though.
After clipping cable for over 20 years, it gets a little bit tedious. So I'm always trying to find more efficient ways of carrying out my job, while maintaining the absolute best standard of work that I can achieve. The Spit 27E nail gun has been an absolute godsend. It's not the cheapest tool on the market, and combined with the D-line clips, it's certainly not the cheapest install either. But you do get a good quality finish. Now it's time to mount the hypervolt charger onto the bracket. The good thing about these brackets is it prevents any water ingress. And inside the hypervolt box you get another little box with some screws in it. You need one bolt to fix the hypervolt to the mounting bracket. And other 4 bolts are used to fix the faceplate over the top of the charger. You'll see this in a little bit.
You see, by me keeping this cable on the drum, I've got no scuff marks on it. So it gives a much nicer finish for my well-deserving client. And hopefully I've got enough on this for my job tomorrow because I haven't got any more cable.
This cable I'm using is a Doncaster Cables EV Ultra. Other wholesalers do sell an EV Ultra cable, but it's not actually EV Ultra.
Oh, I need some new cutters.
What a lot of people don't seem to realise is that a lot of cable is manufactured in China. And although it has a BS standard written on side the cable, who's actually checking to see if it's been manufactured in such a way? So I like to buy cable that has been manufactured in this country. This is a high tough cable, so it doesn't have any steel wired armouring around it, which means that the installation is a little bit easier. The cable is more flexible and you don't need SWA cable glands, you can just use stuffing glands. And here you can see the almost finished EV charger installation. The cover is on with those 4 screws that go down the sides as I mentioned earlier, and I'm just carrying out my testing sequence now. I take photos of all of my test results. That means I have a digital copy of them for a start, but also I have my geolocation on, which means where I've installed this charger has been logged, time and date, everything. So in the event that anything goes wrong, I can show that when I installed it, everything was good.
This is what people don't see when fitting these EV chargers. It's not just about connecting up the EV charger, it's about finding how you can get a power supply to it. And that's why some of these jobs can cost a little bit more than what you might expect. Subscribe to my channel.